been an incredibly choppy market within the crypto sector, and there's a definite trap which is currently forming within the markets, and most people are going to be caught on the wrong side of this trap, and that is the billion-dollar question: is which way is it going to go, up or down, right? We'll attempt to address that in today's show. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel as we witness the whipsaw effect continue, right? One day price is up, the next day price is down, the next day back up again, right? Back up again over here. So when is the real move actually going to happen? We'll have a look at that. We'll look for some confluent factors that we can identify to try and catch the next big trending move. So let's get straight into it. Quickly looking at the daily, still looking good over here. Hourly was up very, very nicely early hours of this morning, and then it started to pull back a bit, possibly providing a second opportunity over there, right? And the weekly still mostly down. So we have a lot to talk about. You can see liquidation levels are relatively low on the 24-hour rec chart over here. We got about 200 million. So a lot of people have been flushed from the market. You can see over here, these are all long liquidations on the green side, and we haven't had too many short liquidations for quite some time. So will the next move be towards the upside? Will we get a bit of a short liquidation? When there is low volume, low volatility, usually that's a sign that you're going to get major expansion, and it's all about timing the next major move, which is what, of course, we are trying to do. And undoubtedly, it is a bit of a tricky environment that we're currently seeing within the market. And this is oftentimes the last phase of the bull run is the most difficult to trade. So if you feel that way, I ran a poll yesterday asking how many people are getting chopped up in this market, and it was a vast majority that said they're actually losing money getting chopped. So I think the lesson over there is don't overtrade, right? Like some of our friends, which we'll talk about in today's show, some of the over traders basically wrecking accounts. More news on that in just a minute, right? Daily exchange volume still coming towards the downside. What this simply means is that any upward price action that you typically see in that type of environment has to be taken with caution. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be bullish. I think you just need to attach one word to that: cautiously bullish, right? If you're bullish with a low volume environment, attach the word cautiously to the word bullish. You can be cautiously bullish, waiting for the next major move, because to get sustainability, we must see this rise towards the upside, right? And not only that, but again, cautiously bullish because you still have your RSI, which is rejecting off of this trend line. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to break it. You probably will break it if we do get the next upside move over there, but it's just, again, attaching the word cautiously to that. You need to be careful with that. We did break trend on Bitcoin over here, and if you were to view this as a clear-cut range, right? Maybe a good way to view this is to invert the chart, right? I haven't inverted a chart for a long time. Where's our invert scale? There we go. Invert the chart. If you are viewing this as any other old chart, which way would you be trading it? That is the question, right? Sometimes this helps to put a little bit of perspective, right? You have a downtrend. The downtrend broke. You're holding the range low, right? You're holding the range low. You broke the downtrend. Price is coming up to back test into that. The expectation would be, right, that you'd be looking for a move up. That is the inverted chart. So it helps to create perspective when in doubt, right? When there is confusion. Now, again, this is why I just say cautiously bullish, right? The bullish case would be break below, hold here, and then, well, inverted chart, that would turn bearish, which would indirectly mean bullish, right? Bullish for the chart prices going higher. So that's the inverted scale. We need to pay attention to that. Don't ignore these signs, right? The signs are, of course, diminishing volume. Maintain a cautiously bullish perspective, but diminishing volume. RSI is downtrending over there. We outlined some of these signs. We did break the trend, which means simply either a deeper correction or at the very, very least, a little bit of a sideways consolidation to regroup and prepare for the next move towards the upside, right? So I don't necessarily think now is the time to rush into positions. You do have moving average support. If you do pull back, remember that's going to be a very, very key level. If you sweep $100,000, that's the sweet spot. I do believe that should be the main area to bounce, even though we have the short trade set up for a move all the way down to $90,000. We spoke about this yesterday. The primary take profit would be into this $98,000, $99,000 region, right? So we have seen bullish things taking place, right, on the high time frame. So don't confuse the time frames. Short, medium, high time frame, right? High time frame, things still look relatively good. Medium time frame, also they look good. Short term, there is a possibility for a little bit of a pullback to still take place. But we've seen some huge outflows, right? One of the biggest outflows that we've seen in a long time from Bitfinex over here, 20,835 Bitcoin, right? So a huge amount of Bitcoin outflows over there. And we've seen the M2 money supply, which we know has great correlation to the directional bias of crypto, right? Now creating all-time highs, 21.86 trillion on the M2 money supply. But I saw this thread and it was really, really good from Decode over here, showing that the most important chart in crypto might not just be the M2 money supply, but you have to dig a little bit deeper, right? You need to look at the central bank balance sheet expansion, and that is the real money printer. And he says, and it's still missing from the cycle, right? So if we go on over here into the next part of his thread, at least he says, combine the central bank balance sheet data with the M2 money supply, and then you'll start to see a very different picture over there. Clearly, the majority of the breakout in M2 money supply expanded by the commercial banking system and not by central bank policy. So there is still possibility for a lot more upside. Basically, high time frames still could be very, very, very bullish, especially if you start to break some of these key levels, right? If you can get this RSI to begin to expand over there, that could start to look really, really good. And he says over here, the alignment with the red area on the oscillator striking, central banks need to step in to support the business cycle, which right now they haven't done, right? Which means if they do that, it could create a lot more upside. He says you've all seen the M2 support, M2 chart and its correlation with Bitcoin, but have you seen it calculated as a year-on-year percentage rate of change, right? Which would look like this, right? So this can work as an oscillator to really help you to identify major bottoms and tops, right? So if you look at it as a rate of change, these lows, when it oscillates at the bottom of there, creates those massive upside moves. Now, notably, we haven't got anywhere near to where we did in the prior tops over here, but you need to be careful that this thing doesn't start to roll over, right? So he says money supply growth is still fairly muted and its growth may even be slowing. Too early to tell, but the rate of change charts are useful in identifying those turning points. The M2 liquidity overlaid on the Bitcoin chart is no doubt the most bullish chart because it still suggests that there's a lot of upside, right? But it's also definitely not telling the entire story. So we'll keep an eye out on this oscillator with the rate of change. And hopefully this continues towards the upside, right? So as you can see drawn over here, we need to be careful. It's not creating a similar top to what we saw in December was, I think it was, November, December last year. You can see this started to roll over. And again, that's why I bring this back into view over here when we had this as an inverted chart. You need to be really, really cautious when you break back. This can be classified as a triple top then, right? If you break back into the trading range, we spoke about this weeks ago. We said when price was trading up over here, we need to be careful. If this breaks back into trend, that does become a time to be really, really cautious. So even if you're still bullish, you should be cautiously bullish. But with that being said, there'll be a lot of stop losses over here, which does always create the opportunity for a bit of a short squeeze. So my job is to bring you both sides of the story. Your job is to determine which is the direction that you want to take. And you can see in the polls, right? Again, very, very divided and split almost equally, right? I said we're definitely about to see a trap, but the question is, which way is that trap going, right? Bull trap, meaning we're having a fake out and then we're going to smack back down again. Essentially, that's what we've already seen. It's just, will we get follow through of the downside move? Or is it going to be a bear trap, a shakeout to the downside, which would then look like this? This would be the bear trap scenario basically in play over here right now. This would be the bear trap, you know, a little bit of a shakeout, maybe hit there, and then you start to expand straight to all-time highs. And you can see in the poll results right now, 44% versus 56%. So very, very, very divided. My theory is that you need to remain very cautious on both sides, right? Don't get stuck in a bias. Be willing to change direction as soon as the market proves to you that you should do so, right? Because you're going to get absolutely rinsed if you don't, right? This is not a time to, be arrogant when it comes to the market. Remain objective, looking at each and every day's price action, right? Okay, cool. So let's continue on over here. Now, the chop that is creating a lot of pain within the markets is affecting a lot of whales. And we spoke about this. James Wynn, right? Who basically ran up an account to $100 million effectively in that region when you classify his unrealized profits at around 82 million plus the initial capital used to get there, and wiped all of it out, liquidated the entire account, right? You guys remember the story. This happened just over a week ago. A week ago, he was worth $100 million at least minimum. And then now he's basically worth very, very little. We'll talk about that in a minute, right? So he reaches out to Andrew Tate, right? 𝗪𝗲𝗧. Hey, I sent you $20 million of 𝗧𝗏𝗶𝗃 and is now your public wallet's biggest bag. Money isn't real, right? Remember, money isn't real when it comes to James Wynn. So Andrew Tate replies, he says, I only support daddy. I'll burn them all. He says, when will you burn 𝗏𝗏𝗃, G? And then he says, will it help you destroy the BTC cabal with your longs? Because remember, James Wynn believes that the cabal is after him, the market makers, so he had to liquidate him. And we'll talk about the position that he recently opened. And if we go through to the wallet, I mean, you can track over there. It is, in fact, true. He sent the 𝗏𝗏𝗃. You can see he's got about $683,000 worth of 𝗏𝗏𝗃 in Andrew Tate's wallet. He hasn't sold it. He hasn't burnt it. We'll see. We'll keep an eye out on what happens over here. But fast forward over there, James Wynn then deposits $20 million, right? $20,000 of the donated funds, because this was cleared from his feed, right? If you go to his feed now, you won't see it. He said you can't make it up. Last week worth $100 million. This week asking for even $1 donations. Look at that. He says, if you want to fight the market making cabal and support me, send USDC to this address, right? So I tracked the address. I'm going to show you the address now. He says, assuming I win, everyone will be sent one-to-one back of their money, right? In God's hands. So the Kübler-Ross model suggests that in phase 3, when people go through pain and suffering, some sort of an unforeseen event like getting liquidated on $100 million, they turn to God, right? They turn to higher powers to try and look for opportunities to get back, right? So this is essentially what I would say is Kübler-Ross's model, phase 3. So here is his position, right? He opened $100 million long position on Bitcoin. He's currently down $418,000 despite the early morning pump that we had early this morning. I checked, he was up about 300K, now back down 418,000. There's his liquidation, 103,630, right? So he took this money, donations. He has the donations. You can see them coming in. What's, of course, comical about this is he says, assuming I win, everyone's going to get one-to-one back. Look at the donation amounts. $1.01, $1.01. This is what people are donating to him, the one-to-one, of course. So he received a bunch of funds, deposited that there. He reduced his liquidation price from something like, $103,638 to now $103,630. So he bought it down by like $8. So will he get liquidated, right? That's what we need to wait to see. Now, I really recommend that none of you ever do this. I really think that this is absolutely insanity. And the fact that he was asking for donations makes me believe that maybe he doesn't have as much money that he said. Remember, last week, money didn't matter. Where's this tweet over here? Let's just quickly go over here to his exact tweet. What did he say over here? Money isn't real, right? Money isn't real. Last week, money wasn't real. This week, donations to the address, right? So, yeah. Interesting story within our own little crypto space over here. We'll see if it gets liquidated. 103,630. Let's go back to the price chart and just see where that is, right? Well, we said we think we're going to sweep down just below $100,000, which effectively means you'll probably get liquidated of that 100 million position, right? So, guys, if you don't know risk management, please join Whale School. It's completely free, right? You don't have to pay $2,000. You don't have to donate anything to me either. You just need to go through to the link in the description below over here and join us on the next cohort, right? Where we'll talk about leverage trading specifically and how to survive the long haul when it comes to trading, right? 13 days to go. There's a link in the description below. If you sign up using Bybit, you can immediately get $50, right? Use that Bybit link. Immediately, you'll get $50. Plus, you can get a $30,000 sign-up bonus depending on what you deposit. And then you'll use that user ID to verify yourself to get into Whale School, right? I really look forward to seeing the next class, right? So let's continue. Where does this place the rest of crypto, right? Well, we need to look. There's a lot of things going on over here, right? A Bitcoin dominance trend is definitely still very much towards the upside, but we've been looking for signs of weakness anywhere around this region over here. And you can see on the daily chart, well, we're starting to possibly roll over and put in those low highs. If we can start to see some of these lows taken out on Bitcoin dominance around 63.44%, that can start to accelerate towards those lows. And then this can get things rolling over, right? I would expect that this only happens in an environment where Bitcoin is moving towards the upside and holding those highs and not pulling back too aggressively. And we see daily exchange volumes rising, right? So I think it is, although very difficult and frustrating market to trade at the moment because it's incredibly choppy, I think that you should, maintain your finger on the pulse of the market and don't go anywhere yet, because at any moment we could see something major happen, and you obviously want to be positioned on the right side of the trade, right? We'll talk about the Monday range as well today. We'll have a look at some opportunities, but I think one of the best picks, if you do see the Bitcoin dominance breaking down, of course, is ETH BTC, which we brought up on yesterday's show, and we said, it's really getting dangerously close to threatening the breakdown of this trend. Yesterday, of course, we had the trend a little bit tighter like that and started to look dangerous. You can see right now ETH BTC holding that, and this is essentially a bullish wedge, right? You can see over there wedging into here, which means that come around the mid-June, close to my birthday, right? Maybe on my birthday we'll start to get the breakout as we reach the apex of this wedge over here. That's signifying between the 9th and about the 14th of June, right? So somewhere around the June period, if this does continue to hold, I think ETH may be one of the best picks, right? Looking at high prices. So I see you guys say Solana ripping again. I actually have to bring this into view as well. Let's quickly have a look at this. Let's quickly pull this from my other screen across. So we have to look at Solana as well against ETH, right? There's been the picture, Solana ETH starting to roll over, but I must say it is coming into a key support area. If this starts to break down, right, this is a key SR flip for Sol ETH, right? So maybe in the short term, yes, Solana could actually start to rip over here, at least put in a bit of a bounce against Ethereum. So Solana pulling back into this 0.0573, and then maybe a bit of a spike up over here, fill some of these inefficiencies and fair value gaps, and then it will start to distribute and break down. I think ETH is actually going to outperform Solana over the medium to longer time frame. I know that's probably a bit of a taboo thing to say, but that's at least what I think. That's what it looks like. But in the short term, yes, I think Solana could bounce against ETH over here, right? So we can see ETH dominance, right? ETH dominance also bouncing from a super, super key level over here. It needs a bit more time to build momentum, but at the end of the day, looking good over there, right? The chart that I'm studying most closely is this one, right? This is the USDT dominance, and this is what's been creating that wild chop. It's up, it's down, it's all over. At the end of the day, you just want to gain acceptance below the pink box over here, which I have marked with the white line horizontally, and you can see this wedge, right? Same thing. It looks very, very similar actually to this, right? A bullish wedge. But so far it's breaking towards the downside, but will it gain acceptance below? Hopefully, because if this ends up being a fake out, and this breaks back inside and expands towards the upside, that's going to create massive, massive damage within the market. So I don't have a straight up answer for you today. If in the short term it's up or down, I truly don't, right? What I would say is monitor this chart. And right now, assuming this chart is telling the truth and it's not a bearish or bear trap over here shaking down and then this is going to spike up, then you would expect this to gain acceptance below the 4.73. And if it gains acceptance below 4.73, we're still looking for that strong move towards the downside, right? And this is why I say don't go anywhere. Stay within the market, right? Because that move could be coming at any moment. And if we do get this type of a move, right, maybe one more test into the underside resistance over here to make sure this is a true SR flip, right? Previous support into resistance, and we get that markdown towards this lower level at the yearly open. This will drive an enormous move, right? The move from here to here. 10% drop in the USDT dominance, right? That's going to create massive pumps within the market. So pay attention to that. Don't go anywhere. If it gains back acceptance above 4.73, expect that that's going to have been a bull trap for the rest of the market, right? Prices are then going to come down. Remember, a bull trap is where price looks like it's going to break out. So everyone longs the breakout and then it gets smacked back down, breaks back into the trading range, and everyone gets wrecked. A bear trap is where everybody sells because they think prices are going to go much lower for Bitcoin or cryptos to reclaim key levels and then expand much higher. And your answer of what's most likely going to happen next is going to be in this chart, right? This will give you an indication as to the broader market because there's a lot of rotational games in crypto, right? Meaning, one day they're long on Sonic, the next day they long on ETH, the next day they're long on Solana. And so the rotational game continues, and that creates even more chop and confusion. So if you want true directional bias, look towards USDT dominance, right? The USDT dominance market cap over here will give you an indication as to the true next move for the market. So we do have liquidity both overhead and below over here, which means you can wreck both longs and shorts. And that's what I'm talking about over here. Monitor this chart for that next directional move. Now, on ETH, which has been the main chart that I've been focused on because I want to outperform Bitcoin, and this looks like it's going to do so, I'm still waiting for negative funding, and we haven't got that. So if we do get one more move towards the downside and we can start to see the funding go negative, remember at the bottom of the trading range, which is over here around 2,300. So that would have to look something like this. One more flush out and scare, that would be an immediate long for me, right? Also maybe reset the open interest a bit over there, which has been rising. So we're still waiting for that. That hasn't happened, but that doesn't mean that you should have zero exposure to the market, right? Remember, we maintain spot exposure in Ethereum. It's just a matter of when's the best time to run an inverse perpetual trade. So you can see right now, and again, guys, I just want to be clear. Remember this as an inverted chart. Let's just quickly go over here. This is why we need to be very, very, very cautious, right? And I think that the lesson is don't over leverage in this environment, right? Don't pull a James Wynn. Don't pull a James Wynn over here. Sometimes it will work, but look at when it doesn't work. You take out your whole account, $100 million. I mean, guys, $100 million. You understand? He could have just bought Bitcoin. He says that, money's not real, and 100 million is only 0.1 billion, right? It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It could just be in spot and you could still do very, very, very well, right? So in this environment, let's go back to this chart over here. Because if this does happen, if you do back test over here into about 108K and then start to expand, that's going to cause a lot of damage within the market, right? And that's what we're going to be careful of. Cool, let's move on. So you can see ETH still somewhat holding the triangle. Of course, I mean, this got very, very, very sketchy. We can be a little bit more generous to the bulls and we can draw it like that. But as long as it continues to defend these lows, at this point, your hard invalidation is below those candles. Like right now, you really don't want to see ETH go back below 2,480. Otherwise, it is going to sweep these lows. So if it does, you need to be mentally prepared. As soon as you take out those lows, you need to be mentally prepared. ETH would then drop at least another 6 or 7%, right? So if it maintains this triangle, the expectation is still that this will put in a big breakout. And remember the reason why we had focused on this: attempt number 1, attempt number 2, attempt number 3, fake out, came back down. If this comes in for the 4th time, this is going to break out. And if this breaks out over here, ETH is going to put in about a 25 to 30% move, right? So you can see over there, from the breakout level, that's almost a 20% move. From that level over there, about a 25. So 20 to 25% move over there. If you get another move back down to the bottom and it can hold those lows, that's providing you with about a 30% upside move on ETH, right? Bitcoin over here compressing between these levels. Another thing that I just want to quickly focus on is the USDT dominance, right? If we go into the daily time frame, so you can see over here, you got the death cross between the 50 and 200 on the daily, and you do also have your stochastic RSIs, which are beginning to roll over. So if we get that, confirmation, the backtest into 4.73, that's going to look really, really good, right? Backtest over there, that will provide you with a final opportunity to at least take a good risk to reward long trade. And if you do get follow through over here, well, I'm expecting a big drop. And part of the reason why is because of this, right? Stochastic RSI is all the way over there topping out with price obviously coming into the 50% level of the move, 4.8% rejecting over there off of the 50 EMA with the 200 above that and turning down, right? So there is some good opportunities over here. But if this spikes up and starts to reclaim, of course, that's going to be sign trouble. Right now, side with more likely that this is going to break down because this is also a very, very key fair value gap. You can see from that big candle over there, right? You revisited some of that, and now we just want that follow through towards the downside. Okay, in the very short term, very, very, very short term, right? I'm not advocating that you short this, But here's your range trade, right? Right now, as you see, as you witness right now on the show live, you have your Monday range, right? This is ETH on the Monday range. You can see price spiked up, broke back below, came back to back test this. So if this does back test this and gain acceptance below Monday range, well, you know what to do, right? You can start to scale in to short trades, right? And your stop loss would hang above those highs over there. And if you can scale into short trades and gain acceptance below that 50 EMA like this, where do you trade it to? Monday mid. And if you lose Monday mid, you're coming down towards Monday low. So think in terms of what you're likely to do next, right? If I told you that ETH BTC looks like it's going to break out, and ETH is probably a really, really good trade still. We've been saying this since 1500, told you again at 1800, still saying it now. Good for a move to 3,300, right? Which is the yearly open. If that is the case, and the very, very short-term trade, which is this, plays out, this is where you're looking to reposition into some of those long trades if you've missed the boat, right? Somewhere around here, somewhere around here. The best case scenario, in my opinion, would be to sweep all the liquidity, right? Run it all the way down, take out all that liquidity over there. Let's quickly see on ETH what the liquidity looks like and how it lines up with that Monday range, just out of interest. We'll look at Binance over here. So we have a lot of liquidity, 2,463. What does that look like over here? Well, if you sweep that, right, sweep the Monday low. Where's the Monday low? 2,475. So is getting into that 2,463 a possibility, which is right here? Of course, absolutely, right? A strong move all the way towards the downside. This will create quite a lot of wreckage. So this is a 5.8% move, right? And I believe that Trump and President 𝗥𝗢𝗢𝗓, I think that's how you pronounce it, are speaking this week as well, right? Maybe that's going to create a little bit of trade war tariff volatility within the market. Okay, someone's going to make an AI video of them punching each other as well. That's probably going to go viral. Someone's going to sell off in the market. We know it, right? There's no AI regulation yet. Or are they ever going to bring it? Who knows? Okay, let's look at BTC, right? BTC already strongly broken back into the Monday range. Not really a short trade opportunity over here because you would be shorting it in the middle of nowhere. So Monday mid, right? Let's look at XRP quickly. XRP, there's the short trade, right? That would have been a couple of minutes ago even. That would have been a great short trade over there. Theoretically, you could take the short trade right now with a tight stop over here. I wouldn't leave it as loose as the top side of the range, TP1, and if you get it all the way down, TP2, right? Okay, cool. Let's see, Solana, so hasn't broken back in. So the comment was correct. Solana is still holding up relatively well, right? Sui already too far in the range. This is more now you're positioning to see if it holds Monday mid, and you can even possibly look for long trades. Best case scenario is you sweep the Monday low all the way at the bottom. Let's quickly see NEAR also breaking back into the Monday range over there. Aptos, and I just want to be clear, guys, these are 5-minute charts. Now, remember, I always try and cater for the high time frame first in the show. Then we go a little bit more medium time frame with the dailies and 4 hours, and then the super degen low time frame for the true traders at heart, right? Let's just quickly see something on ETH over here as well. I just want to zoom in. Is there any sort of a trend line over here? Okay, a little bit, right? So I guess you can get extra confirmation. That's perfect, right? This would be perfect. A little bit of extra confirmation if you can start to break that trend, right? So if you want a safer trigger to get into this trade, then wait for that break, right? Basically, breaking this trend line over here will simultaneously crack through the 50 EMA, right? Which would be like that. So a little bit of a move down, create a new swing low on the 5-minute time frame, activate the short trade over there, and then you're looking for follow through. Okay, cool. So that's one way that you can think about this. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, Sonic is still okay. Remember, higher time frame, Sonic, this whole pink area for Sonic is a key support, right? So this is super low time frame shorting, scalping, if you will. Any moves that come back down into here are theoretic opportunities to buy the dip. Okay, this one's also not too bad. If you look at, say, this has been quite a strong trend towards the upside. So if you do break Monday high, you're breaking below the 50 EMA, you're breaking back into the range. That does definitely become a short opportunity, at least to the mid-range. Okay, what is this? Zeta. Let's just remove this from the list. We don't even need Zeta anymore. Ton. Also, look at how illiquid this is. I mean, you can see this is controlled. This is market maker trading over here. This is very, very little interest. Okay, this is still real trading on Casper. But same thing, right? If you break below Monday high, you're going to lose the 50 EMA of the injective. Already broken back into the range. And you guys can do this on your own. You can go through the list on your own, right? AVAX, also, if you lose Monday high, you're going to lose the 50 EMA. You have quite a big uptrend over here. Put in a swing low. This would be a lower high. And then you got to move all the way down. Okay, you guys get the point. You get the point over there, right? We're not going to focus too much on all of these things, right? So if there is a buy the dip opportunity and we get a short squeeze towards the upside and everything breaks out and ETH goes crazy and we know, you know, this whole alt season narrative begins to come back, one to watch, right? One to watch. Saw this from Whale Insider over here posting about our very own GOKU, right? Just in Solana meme coin GOKU, deflationary mechanism burns 2.3 million more tokens, pushing the total burn now past 10 million tokens, right? And that, of course, helps to drive the price up. So you got this beautiful range over here on GOKU, 120% range. If this can now move up and start to reclaim 0.0090, right? That's going to look really good for GOKU to open up an even bigger trading range. And we can start to see this potentially rise, right? So still, I would say this is my top meme coin that I hold at the moment. I don't think there's anything that I hold that's worth more or is more in terms of number of tokens than GOKU, right? So great to see. I think this might also be the only one that has a burn mechanism when it comes to meme coins, right? We know other protocols do this buyback and burn mechanism. I think GOKU is the only one. Okay. And that is, of course, GOKU on Solana. If you want to check it out, they have a Twitter account there. All right, guys, let me know in the comments if there is anything else and we can have a look. Let's see. Cool. All is good. Otherwise, we're just waiting for the Monday range to play out. I think that's essentially the plan for the next couple of days. For those of you that haven't yet signed up to Whale School, use the link in the description below, guys. We have a lot of surprises coming up in this particular cohort, right? I can't wait to show you guys what's coming. Use the link below. You don't have to put a credit card. You don't need any of that. 13 days left to go. First come, first serve. Once it's full, and we can't take any more in there, right? And then get your $50 sign up bonus over here from Bybit, and that will give you a user ID to get in. Other than that, that is it from me, folks. I'll see you all on the next one. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and let's see how the Monday range plays out. See you all soon, and cheers for now.